Singapore. I mean, that's the way we have to go. But you tell the Singaporeans to go to Caspian Sea, Chimken, and I've been there. If it were my grandson, I'd say, well, look, better look for another more hospitable place.
It's approaching 5:25. I think we can take two more questions. One over there, please. The neighbor of C.H. Tong. Yeah.
Director and global co-head of Deutsche Bank Shipping. We're operating out of Hamburg. Hamburg and Singapore have two things in common: excellent statesmen, you and Helmut Schmidt. That is not what I'm wanting to say. The achievements of Singapore in the maritime sector are great. MPA has done an excellent job. We have to admit it from the German side. They do it very professionally, very systematically. And once in a while, that gives us some fear. On top, a number of European countries in the shipping sector are committing one mistake after another, and you are that good here in Singapore because you commit less mistakes than others. An ongoing discussion is the tonnage tax in Germany. Mrs. Merkel, our chancellor, is trying to keep quiet and keep the shipping community quiet. And in Norway, and Mr. Williamson was just talking to you but not mentioning the tonnage tax issue in Norway. It looks quite bad, but it looks good for you. So in future, you will have much more shipping companies like the Rittmers and the Williamson and the BWs here. I'm a little bit concerned about the price increases you have here. Not that much in comparison presently with Norway or with London or with New York, but the striking increases over the last 2 years, and cost is a tremendous factor for shipping, albeit the revenue stream at the moment is quite good, but costs are very sensible at the moment. What would you say, Minister Mentor, how to control the situation here in Singapore as to the price bills?
Which particular
housing, premises,
cost?
Housing and premises.
Well, that's a sudden spike in demand, which we will try to meet, but I think it will stabilize. We will always be much cheaper than Hong Kong or Tokyo or Shanghai. That's for sure, a long-term trend. We will be more expensive than Kuala Lumpur or Jakarta or Manila. That's the position that we think we will be. I do not believe that Hamburg is in danger because of Singapore. You've got a long history as part of the Baltic states, and they're not likely to lose that preeminence. And the Germans are not people who give up easily. I think there is no need to fear us. We are small in numbers. We threaten nobody. All we can do is to add value to your activities in this part of the world. And we welcome you here. And we'll try and keep costs down as much as we can during this interregnum before new buildings are up. They will be up.
5:30, but can we take just two quick questions?
All right.
Okay, there's one on this table and one at the table at the back there. So gentlemen here, please. This will be the last two questions. And
Minister Mentor, my name is Mauro Balzarini from Siba Ships. We are an Italian family who founded the company in Singapore to manage our shipping assets. We heard a lot about, obviously, the economies in Europe, in America, and the growing of the Asian economy was driving the shipping industry at the moment. We don't hear much about Africa. I would like to know what is your opinion on the potential of Africa to become a player in the world politics and economics, and if there is any country within Africa that Singapore sees as an important partner for future development of relationships. Thank you.
Are you involved in any part of Africa at all?
Not really, no, but I think it's a country with a lot of potential, and having the chance to ask this question to you, I could not resist, actually.
Well, I hesitate to answer this question with any authority because my knowledge of Africa is very patchy. I first visited it in the 1960s on several occasions. I did 17 capitals in 35 days in 1964. I've been back for conferences in Lusaka, Dar es Salaam, Nairobi, Accra, Lagos. I would say that for the next few decades, as far as the shipping industry is concerned, they will be exporters of raw materials. And the Chinese are joining the Europeans and the Americans in a big way, and the Japanese. And they are everywhere in Africa. And they need all the things that Africa's got, which they haven't got. So I will see a tendency, a trend of more Chinese ships going there, picking up raw materials to bring back to China, and that will generate other activities, and slowly they will grow. But I do not see a surge like you are having in East Asia or in South Asia. I think maybe in another 30, 40 years it might be different.
The last question will be from a gentleman at the back there.
Minister Mentor, good afternoon. My name is Bajpayee from Eurasia. We are headquartered in Hong Kong, but we have significant operations out of Singapore also. You mentioned in your remarks in the beginning that one of the threats facing the maritime industry is from terrorism. You also mentioned during your discussion period that the transition from the colonization to globalization was a smooth one. And I couldn't resist this opportunity of asking you and the insight from your side whether there is a link between the two, whether there was a missed step in this transformation or transition from colonization to globalization, that the roots of terrorism lie there.
No, I don't think so. I think this is a completely exogenous factor. It's difficult to say at this moment with certainty why and how in the Muslim world the fundamentalists emerged in such a virulent form. But I would believe is this, if you take it broadly, that decolonization, whether in the Muslim world or in India or in other parts of the world, in Asia, leads to a resurgence and will to reassert their identity. So you have nationalisms, xenophobia across the decolonized world. With the Islamic world, I once had this discussion with a very thoughtful Indian diplomat whom I knew. He's based here. We kept in touch as friends. A very wise man. He's retired now. And I asked him, why do you think this is happening? And he gave me an answer which has set me thinking. He says, you look at India. Nehru started with a secular India, and he downplayed religion. But successive elections, finally his daughter, Mrs. Indira Gandhi, had to appeal to the Hindu base to gather votes in the north. And that's led to the BJP and RSS and Hindu nationalism and Hinduja. The similar thing is happening with Islam. They were put down by the West. The Ottoman Empire was dismembered. They were recolonized or became protectorates in the Middle East, carved up. The British created Iraq, Kuwait, and if you read the history, you will know that it was done in a fairly light-hearted, arbitrary fashion. They encouraged the Arabs to overthrow the Ottoman Empire, which was an Islamic empire, but it was not. It was an empire. You did not, if you were not an Ottoman, you did not share in the benefits of it. And so the British and the French promised to create independent Arab nations out of their support to overthrow the Ottomans, and they did. And then when the time came, they hesitated. Finally, they carved up Syria, Lebanon, Kuwait, Iraq, and they couldn't get Saudi Arabia to join, and it's quite interesting. So I think the desire to reassert themselves came naturally, because after all, the Muslims reached the gates of Vienna. I mean, supposing they had overrun Europe, Europe might have become Muslim. It was one of these quirks of history. They did not. They are now disadvantaged, no technology, or low technology. And the tragedy is that instead of doing it the way the Japanese, the Chinese, and the Indians are doing, learning science and technology and beating the West by competing in that game, they decided to bring the house down and say, make your life miserable and make you dysfunctional. Since I cannot create all these aeroplanes and rockets and so on, I will destroy you. I think it will fail, and I don't know how long it will take before the realization that this is a no-winner. You can terrify, you can destroy pockets of people here and there. You get a weapon of mass destruction, you might kill a few million people, but you will not conquer the countries and govern these people. You haven't got the capabilities. And I was quite interested in reading a recent article that said that the Saudi cleric who had blessed Osama bin Laden had come out recently. I think it was in an article in the IHT just a few days ago. And he said, you, Osama, have brought disaster to the Muslim people. What have you done? You're killing Muslims. What have you achieved? So it's already leading to schisms, and they are already seeing that this is not going to bring about a caliphate. And once again, you have Islam from Western North Africa right across to Asia to Indonesia. This is not going to happen. How long will it take before it peters out? I don't know, but I think we'll live with it and cope with it. And we'll be in for a very troublesome time with Iraq and Iran. it's not the end of the world. So we just carry on, and shipping is the way the world's trade is kept going. No technology has found a cheaper way of transporting goods. I was interested to see some, was it German or somebody, a new kind of ship which rides on air. But I don't know what happens when you meet 10-meter waves. But it's still the cheapest way to carry goods across the globe. So we'll be in the business. And Singapore is well placed for it. So we invite you to stay here and ride on the growth of Asia. Thank you.
I'm glad that you've already conveyed your appreciation. Yesterday when I spoke to about this talk, he said, Kishore, how much do you know about the maritime industry? I said, very little. But at least today I can say, after listening to you, we all understand and appreciate the complex dimensions of the industry, and we thank you very much for being with us today. I hope you join me once again in thanking
We would like to thank Minister Mentor for his time and for sharing his insights with us today. We would also like to thank Professor Mahbubani for facilitating the session. I would now like to call upon Mr. Peter Ong, Chairman of the Maritime and Port Authority of Singapore, to present a token of appreciation to Minister Mentor. Mr. Ong, please. We would also like to invite Mr. Ong to present a token of appreciation to Professor Mahbubani. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give our speaker, Minister Mentor Lee Kuan Yew, another round of applause as he takes his leave. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for joining us this afternoon, and we hope that the Singapore Maritime Lecture has been enjoyable and fruitful for you. If you are attending the Singapore International Maritime Awards Gala Dinner after this, please note, we have arranged for transport to Shangri-La Hotel from here. The pickup location will be on your left after you exit the ballroom. If you wish to take the transport, kindly proceed to the pickup location without delay. We have ushers on hand to guide the way. Thank you and have a pleasant evening.